I am not a big fan of streaming. No, it is not because of the sound quality, but rather the idea of paying every month for service, that bothers me. You know, that's the cheap blood in me. Thomas, man, check out this $5,000 cable. I got it for $2,000. Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Congrats on your purchase. Thomas, check out streaming. 25 bucks a month. Less than the price of a coffee a day, and you have access to every music made in our known universe at the tip of your finger. Let me think about that. So for that refusal to pay 25 bucks a month, it took me many years before I joined the streaming world. My excuse was, well, I'd rather buy the CD, rip it, and get better sound quality. I have a friend who owns this $30,000 CD player, and the CDs he buys, most of you would not even know it existed. Balanced CD, what is that? I actually made a video on it. CD that costs over 200 bucks. What? Now, he's super demanding when it comes to sound quality. Now, his system is over 300 grand, and he never considered streaming because he thought the sound quality with streaming would be meh. However, one day he decided to give Rune a try, and he never looked back. As he said, the convenience is just too tempting. He had to join the dark side. Now, I think streaming has matured to the point where sound quality should no longer be an obstacle. Maybe the 25 bucks a month barrier might stop you if you're like me, but not the sound quality. Sure, it might not be as good as CDs or RIP files on your hard drive, but as I always say, once it's good enough, and after you pass the honeymoon phase of like listening to CDs and high-res files, it really does not matter. Now, if you're looking into streaming, okay, there's streamers with built-in DAC and there's streamers without. Now, in those cases, you would use an external DAC, right? If it doesn't have a built-in DAC. Now, obviously, a question many of you would have is, if I use the streamer just as a transport, then should I not get the cheapest streamer transport possible? After all, the streamer is just sending ones and zeros to the DAC. Now, from my experience, no, all streamers, even when used as transport, don't sound the same. And if you want a scientific explanation for it, check out the podcast by John Darko, where he got an expert to explain why. Now, remember, it had nothing to do with voodoo or placebo, but had something to do with timing. Now, I'll try to find a link to that podcast and I'll put it in the first comment. For those who are not convinced and still think all streamer transport is the same, then get our WIM for 100 bucks. Now, that streamer as a transport is fantastic. I made a video on it already. Now, for the other group who thinks, hey man, if I'm gonna spend 25 bucks on my hard-earned money every month on streaming, I better get my money's worth and get the best streamer I can afford. Now, if what you can afford is slightly above $1,000, then the Silent Angel Munich M1 is something you can put on your edition list. Sure, you can build a Raspberry Pi streamer and save money, but not all of us have the time and expertise to do so. Most of us just want something that's plug and play instead of plug and pray. So, my audio buddies, in the next few months, I will be covering many streamers. Today, I will talk about the Munich M1 from Silent Angel. Now, this streamer has received many positive reviews, and I will just start by saying that those reviews are legit. I don't think the company has a big enough budget to pay for all those good reviews. Heck, they didn't even offer to buy me coffee for making this video. So the fact that it is good, this streamer, is a given. Now, chocolate ice cream is good, wasabi ice cream is good. So the million-dollar question is the Munich M1 good for you? Now, what I hope to do in this video is to help you find the right ice cream, or streamer. Now, as I mentioned before, you can buy a streamer with a DAC or a streamer without a DAC. Without a DAC, you would use it as a transport. In the case of Silent Angel, the $1,100 USD M1 TT. model is just a transport, which means you need to use your own DAC, while the $1,200 Munich M1, which I have here today, has a built-in DAC, $100 more. In this case, you can either use this M1 as a streamer or a streamer with a DAC. So the unit is very small, great especially for those with space issue. Very light, good for people with back problems like me. And with the brushed metal faceplate, it does help to give it an expensive look. There's enough output to satisfy most of the audio files. You have I2S, AES, coaxial, and even USB, which you can connect, well, use to connect your DAC with. If you happen to be one of those audiophiles that is able to use up all the connectors of the Munich M1, I guarantee you your system will have a spaghetti cable mess like mine. Next, you can connect a USB hard drive to it. Great for those who don't want to stream. I mean, great for those who want ultimate fidelity and just want to listen to high quality music rip files from the hard drive. It is room ready and it will support all the major streaming services directly or indirectly, which I will come back to later. So how does the M1 sound? Now, I spend most of my time using it as a transport, and I used it with a few DACs, Guster, Matrix, Mcintosh, Moon, and a few more. Regarding streamers, okay, what I noticed after comparing many of them is that they either fall in the category of helping your existing DAC to maximize clarity, or they try to make your DAC sound smoother, or should I say more fluid instead of smoother. Streamers like Inuus, for example, the one I have here, one of the higher end model, is more on the fluid side. Streamers like Lumen, Stack Audio, in this case Munich M1, tend to go for the direction where it's trying to maximize clarity. So when you plug your DAC to the M1, you will notice the background becoming darker. Well, just a fancy way to say instruments tend to pop out more. You hear more details and the overall presentation is cleaner. Now, having said that, you usually get that with most streamers. What is specific to the M1 is the presentation turns slightly to the cool side of neutral when compared to, let's say, my computer. The edges are more defined, the bass a bit more nuanced, and there's a bit more space in the soundstage. So whether you like that or not is a question of taste, because you gain in clarity and detail, but at the slight expense of warmth and a bit of smoothness. So if you're chasing that, I want my system to be as neutral and linear as possible, the M1 Streamer will help push your DAC in that direction. Now, if you want even more clarity and cleaner sound, you can buy the matching upgraded power supply called the Forester F1, about $600 US. The truth is, I had to swap the power supply 2 times to tell the difference. So the difference is there, but a bit more micro detail, but it was not night and day. The weirdest part, and I know I would get eggs on my face for saying this, they sent me a few cables to try for the power supply. So these cables, you use it to connect the M1 to the power supply F1. And I remember swapping in the white cable. I think it was like silver or something. And I was like, what the hell? I did not need to swap 2 times to tell if there was a difference or not. It was a bigger change for me to change that silver power cable, white power cable, instead of the power supply. But the cable is not cheap. It gave me more clarity. Whether you want that or not is a question of taste. A bit like adding more chocolate to your sundae. Some people like the sundae with just a bit of chocolate, like me, while others want it with a lot of chocolate. So either way, the takeaway is with the M1 overall, when compared to your computer, you will gain clarity, detail, a more neutral tone, darker background, and also because it has no fan, it'll be quieter when compared to your computer. And don't forget, a less expensive electricity bill. So although I use the Munich M1 mainly as a streamer because I have a gazillion DACs at my home, I did try the onboard DAC. It is on the polite side. Not that it's smooth, but rather you don't have that sense of, wow, strong dynamic swing. I think this kind of sounds more for those who love to relax or currently have a setup that needs help to tame things down. So now that we've talked about the sound, what other advantages the M1 have over other streamers? So when it comes to streamers, there are 2 things you have to consider. First, obviously, is the sound. The second is the user experience. I will even say user experience is more important than the sound, because most streamers sounds good already. People don't think of that until they actually have to live with the unit. I have the best sounding streamer, but I pray very hard every day that it does not crash. I mean, who wants that? Whenever I want to access music, I have to go through like 10 million steps. Who wants that? So why do you think people pay like over $500 for the Roon software? So the M1 uses a software called VitOS Orbiter. God, I hope that's how you pronounce it. So to help you decide if you want a Munich M1, go check out the software first. Overall, I found the software easy to use. The learning curve was not steep and it was intuitive. I was able to control the M1 really well with it on my Android phone, and it did not give me a lot of issues. With the software, you'll be able to access combos and so forth. In short, from a user experience, it was okay on Android. So, what are the things that you should be aware of? It does not support some streaming services natively. Now, whether that is an issue or not will depend on you. Well, it does support things like Spotify Connect, it's a Roon endpoint. And the second thing you should be aware of is, as I mentioned before, the sound. You lose a bit of warmth, but you gain incredible clarity. Important. All right, so let's wrap it up now. As I said earlier, if you look on the Silent Angel website, you see that they've been highly recommended by many people. So to reach that level of recognition, you must have a certain level of performance. During my time with the Munich M1, I did take the time to compare it to a few streamers. All right, everyone. So today I am at Mr. Quad's home, and I'm here because I want to test a few streamers. Now we have the Silent Angel M1. We have the Matrix 3 Sabre. Sorry, I forgot the name of this one. And then we got the Inuus Zenith MK3. Well, we also have this old NAIM. And this was about, I think, $5,000, including the external power supply. And I wanted to know how much of a difference there is when we connect our DAC. See, the DAC that we're using today is the built-in DAC from the Mcintosh. And just wanted to let everybody know we're using it on the Quad 2905 speakers. So the question I have is, if we plug the DAC instead to a computer, we have a computer over there. You see, that's the computer. And instead of plugging into the computer, we plug it to a streamer instead. Now, as you know, computers are known to be very noisy. And from my experience, by using the Zenith, you get darker backgrounds. And that's consistent with other streamers I've tried. Now, the big question mark is this, I think it's about $2-3 grand, the combo, maybe less than that, okay? Do I need to go $4,000 to get amazing dark background? Or can I just use something like this, right? It's basically like a small computer too. Is this good enough? Now, it's unfortunate they didn't send me the standard power supply. They sent me the linear, like the special expensive high-end power supply. So I can't really tell with or without the power supply. Anyway, we're going to be testing it today. I was hoping it could be 95% of the $4,000 Inuus streamer, but it turns out it has a different sound than the Inuus sound, so the comparison was meaningless. The M1 is more about clarity, while the much more expensive Inuus is more about trying to sound, I guess, analog. I would say the M1 sound profile reminded me more of the $4,500 Lumen T2 streamer. If you're someone who favors that kind of sound, lots of detail, clarity, then M1 is definitely something you should put on your list. Alright guys, so till next time.